I guess another thing in there that kind of touched on was the question of what are you doing? I thought of that probably near the end of last year, just how if I were to not summarize, narrow down or refine my question to everyone to a single question, it would be, what are you doing? And not like the, what are you doing? I'm sitting on a couch. But like, what are you doing? Like, the subtler level part of it. I'm going to do this thing. I guess the school example or something. Like, I'm sending my kid into this thing that has, as far as the billions of people on the planet have demonstrated, and of all evidence that has ever been pointed to or anything, is not a good idea. And I'm going to do it. It's, what are you doing? Like, throughout all of time, lying has never been a good thing for anybody. It has only turned into badness. What are you doing? For all of time, it's, I guess the analogy is almost like people are banging their heads against doors trying to get through the door and like smashing it open, and some people get through with like splinters on the hand by the end of it and like get through, and they're so mangled and disoriented and beat up and damaged and all these things in all these ways growing up until adulthood. And like, you're born and you see all these other people battering through this door or whatever, and nobody is bothering to be like, maybe there's another way we can get through this door. Like, maybe there's a doorknob. If there's not a doorknob, maybe we can find a tool to help get through anything at all. Like, with the school example again, I guess, like for those 12 years that you were sending a kid through that school or going through school or anything else like that, to, like, for 12 years, you didn't bother possibly considering the implications of what's going on. Like, what are you doing? Like, you're smashing through a door and you're getting injured and damaged, and your kid is now doing that, getting injured and damaged. And by the end of it, maybe they'll get through. Oh, they needed to get through that door. It's a way to get through the door in their life. It's like, what? Why? Just look for a doorknob or sit them down and be like, what do you want to build? What do you want to do? Like, let's figure some stuff out and have fun. Like, for, one weekend would do wonders. And like, if most of the options didn't exist, like most of the things that people do, whether it's stuff that, places they go, things they consume, general institutions and processes that are in place. Like, if the education system and institution did not exist, what would you do? And it probably can't get worse than that option. So if you sit down for a moment and think about what are you doing, and you can come up with something that's even slightly functional, then you have 12 years to figure that out. Like, you have more than 12 years, like, leading up to and after it, to figure something out for a child. Like, the child that, if you care about them at all, what are you doing? And that's like with every aspect of life, just to develop just enough awareness that you can look at what it is you're doing with that kind of clarity, and balance will naturally come, like equanimity and just the ability to see what you're doing. And like, you don't need anything else really, because as soon as you see what you're doing, it's, you come to that awareness, you come to that equanimity where you can then do anything. So you don't have to think of like, what would I do instead? It's like, no, just see what you're doing, and then now you can go. Now you can move from there, and everything works out. It's no matter what somebody does. And more often than not, pretty much all the time, my question that I would come back to, if we were really to sum it up, is just, what are you doing? I could probably ask myself that more. I don't even, it's one of those tricky things of sometimes you don't know when you need to ask it, but there are probably times in my life, I can't think of any right now, but if the time comes up, because I thought of this like, half a year ago, and because it's this kind of stuff that I think about and consider all the time, I've probably grown just past the point where I need to ask myself that, so I don't have to ask myself that anymore, because it's kind of like my innate state. But I don't doubt that in some time, maybe in like 5 years from now, because spirituality and just like, awareness and balance and all this stuff, that is an ebb and flow of like constantly shifting over days, years, lifetimes. At some point, I'll have to ask myself, what am I doing? And then I'll be like, oh yeah. And like the answer will be so obvious, because it always is. It really is just like, oh yeah.